All right. Hello, everybody. It's Juanita at EurWay Tours. Side. And it is a Travel Talk Tuesday. So thank you guys for joining me. And for those of you that are watching this later on, pre-recorded, please just be sure to check out some of the links or go back onto the website to see any of the things that we reference. I am not the expert on travel insurance. I am a user of travel insurance. And today we're just going to talk about some of the ways that travel insurance has changed and some of the things that you may not realize that travel insurance all entails with any of your purchases that you make nowadays. So I see several of you are here. If you guys wouldn't mind, just type in the chat where you're dialing in from, where you're zooming in from, and we'd love to see where everybody's coming from and having some connections here. I see Kitty. Oh, wait, David Rohn is here from Kittery, Maine. Oh, hey, so we've got David. We've got Angela. Angela's down at Gulf Breeze. And I've got a couple of other folks. Thank you. Some of you are my clients and some of you I don't know, but that's okay. We're just here to do a little discussions on some travel insurance. I'll give you a couple of hints and tips. We'll do some travel insurance 101, some guidance on travel insurance after 65, because that changes as well. And I'll share with you a couple of videos and things that you can see. And let me start out. And let's see if I can show you one of the quick little videos here that we have on our site. Okay. Share my screen with you. Okay, it's not coming through. Let me make sure I've got it on here. Here we should go. All right.
Travel insurance protects you from certain financial risks and losses that can occur while traveling, like trip delays, trip cancellations, and medical emergencies. If something goes wrong on your trip, contact assistance for any help you need. Then file a claim for the amount of your loss. Once your claim is approved, we'll send your payment. Always read your plan documents carefully so you understand what's covered. Visit AllianzTravelInsurance.com to find the travel insurance plan that's right for you.
So, travel insurance, it's just about everywhere. So, hold on, something else is trying to play here. Okay, so travel insurance is just about everywhere. And so whether you're looking at your credit card, some of your credit cards have travel insurance included. You always have to check on that. The same way you have insurance for rental cars on some of your credit cards as well. So we mentioned earlier, USAA, for some of you that have banking travel insurance, is included in there. Angela had mentioned AAA used to have some travel insurance. Many of your credit cards used to have this little extra travel insurance that you could always check on. And those are still valid. So make sure and check before you purchase anything. I pretty much deal with Allianz travel insurance. Yes, they're German. I'm German. That's not the reason, but found that they are one of the best travel insurances. I love them so much, mainly because during the COVID era, they realized people weren't going anywhere. They refunded every one of my clients all of their travel insurance that they had purchased. And so that was a really nice thing to do. So when you're talking about travel insurance, when you're going on a trip, many of those packages that you purchase, they already have travel insurance kind of built in, and some of them rely on you purchasing that. So whether you're going on a cruise or on a flight, many of the companies have that bundled together, and it makes it a little bit more inexpensive, which comes to the point of, do I need extra travel insurance? And sometimes that's the case, yes, and sometimes it's no. So here are some of the 5 reasons that travel insurance is kind of a must. And so when I'm looking at some of the travel insurance, um, can you afford to lose the trip that you just purchased? So if you spent $3,000 or $4,000 on a trip, and can you just afford to lose that and just not have that? That's what not having travel insurance could do, because it's the investment of that trip. Just in case something happened, whether you have that travel insurance or not, when you have it, cancellations will happen, different situations, whether it's weather or whatever. You really don't want to lose that trip. You never know, if you get sick or someone in your party gets sick and you can't continue that trip. That's a difficult thing. I had some clients that were out traveling, and one of the individuals out of the group of 6 got ill. Well, the rest of the group had to keep going. But that one person, then her travel insurance kind of took care of her to get her back to the United States in the midst of travel. Number 2 reason why you need to have travel insurance, because overseas, it's a whole different thing when you're traveling overseas, trying to get yourself back to the United States. So travel insurance domestic in the United States, it is something typical and easy. But when you're overseas, there's that airline flight, it's the medical insurance, it's the translator. There are all kinds of things that are going to kind of affect you in there. And so if you have that travel insurance, any of your emergency medical benefits are taken care of, and whether it's medical or dental during that trip. And many of it does not just pay for the medical expense, it also pays for the hospital bill or any assistance that you need while you're there. So that's one of the things that you may want to also think about. Number 3 reason that travel insurance is a must: a minor mishap could ruin your trip. Not just the canceling of a flight, missed connection, you're missing bags. Oh my gosh. Any other hiccup that, just may occur. And so when you're thinking about that travel insurance, in the olden days, we never thought about it. We thought, I'm not going to cancel that trip. No, we thought, canceling a trip or not going was one of the reasons to have travel insurance. Nowadays, it's a whole big different thing. Reason 4 why travel insurance is one of the musts. Well, if you go to the U.S. Department of State, if you go to state.gov, they give you lots and lots of reasons of many countries where you really should have some type of insurance to guarantee you heading to where you're going to. Many times the State Department cannot help you, so your travel insurance is some of the biggest help that you could get. When you're out in different countries, the embassy is there, but the embassy is pretty much there. For example, you lose your passport or it gets stolen, and so they can help you get that replaced. But to get in touch with your family and medical care and legal assistance and delayed flights and rebooking and all of those things, the State Department can't help you with. Your travel insurance will kick in and cover some of those things. And reason number 5 is one of the reasons that travel insurance is a big must. It's that if you can find affordable travel insurance, get it. It's so much worth it. Not just does it cover you before or during the trip, even after the trip. And so when you're looking at the quotes that you can get a quote from a different company. So if you don't like the quote, if you're going to go on a cruise and that certain cruise ship has there's package that's contained in that travel package, nobody says you have to take that. You can go get your own. And so many of the times when you notice that there are different versions of that travel insurance. The affordable ones could vary from different kinds. So one of the easiest ones that usually people will give you are the classic plan or a cancel anytime trip. And so if you get this type of a travel insurance, they're going to cover. So, if you have to cancel no matter what, you will get the travel credit. You may not get all your money back, depending on if it's a cruise or a flight or whatever, but you won't lose the money towards that trip. And so cancel anytime means cancel if you're sick, if somebody else is sick, if the dates have to change. Now, you'll get the credit or the monies for that trip. You may not get the travel insurance back. So if you rebook, you got to get travel insurance again. So that's just one of those things. Then some companies may have the travel protection premier plan. Okay, that ups it. And what that actually means is that when you're looking at some of these travel packages, that means they're going to give you extra coverage. So whether that extra coverage means $50,000 worth of dental, 1,000 or $1 million worth of emergency transportation, or any of those things, the premier plans or the upper plans or plus plans, they just give you a little bit more coverage. So there's more money for you to be covered. Now, yes, the classic cancel anytime. That's what most companies have. And that's what you're looking at. Many of the packages that you'll get with companies sometimes will only have the minimum. So, they'll only give you, $100 if you lose your bag, $150 or $200 to cover a hotel room if you missed your flight or your flight was canceled or any of those types of things. Now, one of the things people don't realize, and something that I've discovered and am just loving it, is that you can get a travel insurance at an annual rate. So what does that mean? So every time you go on a trip, usually somebody says, oh, you need travel insurance. Well, what if you travel a lot? It doesn't matter whether you travel driving in the United States or out of country, whether you're on a cruise or you're going, just on a tour, any of those things. If you travel more than 3 times a year, I advise you to get annual travel insurance. So many companies do offer that. The one I deal with, Allianz, has several plans. So it depends on how much are your trips worth. So there is an annual plan that you can get for approximately about $1,500. People don't realize my plan will be differently at a cost for your plan because they estimate your age and the location of where you're going, what your travel insurance is all going to incorporate. So don't think everybody's travel insurance is going to be the same. Your mother or father's is going to be different than your travel insurance. So the annual plan could be $1,500 a year, and it covers you up to about $4,000 or $5,000 worth of travel. So what does that mean? So if your trip costs more than $4,000 or $5,000, after that $4,000 or $5,000, you're not covered anymore because you've used all that up the first few trips. So you take the next plan up, which may cover you for $15,000. So if your trips don't add up to $15,000, then you've got that annual plan. But when you think about it, an annual plan may cost you $1,500. And that was for two people. That was for me and my husband. And it covered us for the whole year. Well, each time we go on a trip, travel insurance may be $200 or $300 a person. So you add that up 3 or 4 times a year. Ooh, there goes the budget. So that $1,500 that I paid, I thought, oh, well, I think my first year was 1,200 that I did that a few years ago, and it was great. And never did I think that I need to use it. And I did. I had to use it. Unbeknownst to me, I had to use it before I even left. And never, when you look at the fine print and you're like, are we covered in that? Yeah, they did send me that. Oh, let me go look at that, what we're covered for again. Wow. My doctor said, too close to your surgery date, after I had hip surgery, he said, you're going to have to postpone that trip a week or two to give yourself more time to heal. Oh, gosh. Okay. So no problem. I'm going to go change my flight. I got another flight. But of course, you know what that means. Change fee. So there was a change fee. Oh yeah, okay, that was another fee for the travel and the change of date. Yeah, okay. So the airline wanted another fee. And I didn't realize my travel insurance covers that. Whoa! So I went and got all my receipts. The company where I booked my flight, I got that receipt. I got my credit card charges. I went up on the website. I submitted my forms, and voila. Within 2 days, I had a check. No, it wasn't even a check. They deposited it straight into my banking account because I had all of that stuff already registered. I was elated. I thought, wow, this is really great. And so didn't think about it. And yes, went back in there and I thought, wow, what else does my plan cover? So a lot of times you don't realize that. But one of the big things I did want to share with you was one of the, I think they call it Travel Insurance 101. And a lot of people don't realize, how does travel insurance really work? And so when you're purchasing that plan or that protection from that certain financial place, it's a risk and it's losses of that could occur while you're traveling. And the losses could be minor, but a little thing like a delayed suitcase, um, that could just put a big kink into anybody's trip. And so it's just another way of also having access to assistance. Because when you're out there, you need to be able to talk to somebody, call somebody. Sometimes you're in a different country, no translators around. Well, your travel insurance always has somebody 24/7 that can speak with you. And so even with those of us that have been traveling many, many years, it's always good to have someone there. Take that plan or make sure you print out some of that, some of those benefits of your travel insurance. Don't wait till something really happens. Have some of that printed out, bring it with you just in case, because every plan varies. And one of the other things you want to make sure is you have points of contact. The State Department, the embassy, your travel agent. That's the first person you're going to be calling besides your travel insurance. And so many times your travel insurance doesn't get utilized until after you come back if you claim. Keep all your receipts of everything, no matter whether you think of it or not. I keep boarding tickets. People don't realize your boarding ticket is proof that you went on that flight. Just because you purchased the flight does not mean you got on the flight. Oh, yeah, sometimes they need your boarding ticket. Keep those. I know many of you keep it in your palm, in your cell phones, and you got your electronic, flights and stuff and everything. It's okay. Get that printout of that boarding ticket. Keep it. I would say just, I keep mine up to a year. those boarding passes will help you in refunding some of those travel things that you may have to put a claim for in there. Um, and keep in mind that COVID-19, um, any of those, those are always the little items in tiny little print. Those items are not covered in most travel insurances. Now, if something happens during your trip, oh, some of these companies were really nice. I had some folks who got stuck in Dubai. They were with a group, tested positive with COVID, and guess what? 1 out of 4 was positive, the others were negative. That one person had to stay behind, and the other folks had to go. We're not gonna mom, dad, cousins, no, everybody's got to go. Only the travel insurance is going to cover that one person who was a positive. Now you have to stay in your location, and at that time it was up to 10 days almost until you tested negative. You could not leave. Ooh, what does that mean? You're in a hotel room. What does that add to your bill? That's an extra 8 to 10 days that you didn't think about. Does your travel insurance cover some of that? Some of them do. Back in the earlier days, they did not. So that was some of that coverage that you had to take care of yourself. Let me show you another quick little video, and then we're going to do some Q&A, and then you guys can ask me a couple of questions. And let me see here. I'm going to show you this little video. Of when you're 65, what's the travel insurance when you get older? What does that really mean?
Experienced travelers know that travel insurance is a must. Get protection for common travel disruptions, such as cancellations and interruptions, unexpected delays, medical emergencies, and lost, damaged, and missing bags. Look for a plan that covers pre-existing medical conditions. Planning more than 2 trips this year? An annual plan can be the most affordable choice for senior travelers. And if you're traveling with grandchildren, certain plans can cover them for free. Choose the plan that's right for you.
See, isn't that something? Oh my goodness. Here you're talking about also, grandkids or your kids to get covered. So that's another big thing that a lot of people didn't think about. Just in case if you're coming, sharing some info and you don't know about us, my name's Juanita Harvin. I'm at EurWay Tours. I put my info in the chat. So if you ever need to get back in touch with me, my links are there, my phone numbers and stuff. So even if you have a question off the wall, don't feel afraid to give me a call. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get that answer for you. So 65, what did she say? Ooh, medical. That's right. Did you know that, when you're 65 and older, most individuals in the United States are under Medicare? Did you know that Medicare will not cover you when you're overseas? Ooh, all right, you need some more travel insurance. So that's another one of the big things. And it's a common age, but this is the time where many of us tend to travel because now we're, retired or semi-retired, and we've got a little slush fund there in the back. So we're going to go travel. And here we are, you're over 65. So just keep in mind that not a lot of that is covered with Medicare. If something goes wrong, the reason that your insurance is also rated by your age is because when you get older, there are more things that are, tend to happen to you. And of course, you have to be careful, but you have some items if, you've either had a hip replacement, you have knee surgery done, got arthritis, all these other things, VA vets, we've lived good lives and our bodies have gone through it. That's right. A quick little fall on the deck on that cruise ship could end that vacation. and just a little slip somewhere. So you have to just make sure you want to make, not get that type of injury. Let people help you with your baggage. One of the really bad injuries is lifting up your suitcases. 50 pounds gets to be kind of heavy. Those suitcases, that will get you too. And then, of course, don't worry, your travel insurance will cover anytime you need to have emergency medical care, those ambulances, somebody's got to pick you up. Most of that travel insurance will cover all of that, but it will not cover your partner. Didn't think about that. Guess what? Your partner might be traveling with you, husband, wife, spouse. They're not sick. They don't fly with you if you're going. So you got to make sure you've got a good travel agent to coincide to get you to where your ill person is, or the person that's going to be on medical, exodus, trying to get them out of there. Yes, grandchildren can be covered for free. Check with many of your credit cards, what's covered there, what they include, whether it's USAA, American Express has good coverage as well. And just remember that the cheap deal, the lowest amount on that travel insurance coverage may not always be the best. So keep in mind that you don't really want to, cheap yourself out of it, because that cheapest travel insurance may just end up taking care of you just a little bit, and then all of a sudden you still have a big bill to pay if something happens, if you're overseas. So feel free right now. I would like to open up the, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. If you have something that you want to talk about or share something that might have happened to you while you were out traveling, we'd love to hear from you. I'm gonna look and see, do I have any questions up in the
Juanita.
Chat? Yes, hello.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. And look, I was traveling a few years ago, 2019 actually, and we were on a tour group, and one of the persons got sick. Something was wrong, I think, with his knee or something, where he needed medical care. And he got it. The tour guide we had assisted him with getting a doctor. I think the doctor actually came to the hotel. But I believe what he told us was he had to pay the doctor and then file for reimbursement with the insurance company. And, we had asked him to let us know how that worked out. I don't know what insurance he had, but is that typically the way it will work?
That depends. Yes, that depends on the country. So in some countries, so for example, in Europe, many of the European countries, sometimes they know, Americans, TRICARE, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they just want you to sign a lot of forms and all kinds of things. But in some countries, they're not gonna wait to get that money from that travel insurance company. They're gonna want you to get your claim back.
Yeah.
So what they'll want you to do is pay for it ahead.
Yeah.
And then you take that payment and you try to get that money back from your travel insurance as a claim.
Yeah, this was in South Africa, and I didn't know that person, so I have not remained in contact with him. But and I guess that's the other thing. If you have that kind of insurance, make sure you have a credit card that has enough balance on it so that you can get the care, pay for the care rather.
That is right. That is correct. When something like that also comes up, that's when the State Department can assist you. So if they've got to get some money somewhere, or your medical company, if you've got private health insurance as well, they can also assist you in getting some of those items, or helping in getting part of that payment done if your credit card won't cover it all.
Okay, that's
So-
good to know.
Yes, it's always, and that's why it's always important. Always give your itinerary to somebody else so they know where you're at. So that you can get in touch with somebody in the States if something like that is needed. Great, great question. Anybody else have any other questions or want to share one of their travel journeys?
Now, I know when I got injured and I couldn't travel back by myself, then my daughter's ticket was half price as part of the insurance. We got reimbursed half because the airline didn't want to take any responsibility or liability. So in order for me to travel with somebody who could help me in and out of the seat with luggage and things like that, then I got reimbursed half her ticket.
Oh, see, that's great. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times also, I had one of the cases where the child was injured. Now, how do you send a child in middle school by themselves in a foreign country to go to the doctor and don't expect the parents to stay there with them? And so we had to argue that case that as minors, you can't just leave a child in a different country. Yeah, they've got a broken leg. We need to take care of that. And you need to pay and assist that parent. One of the parents had to stay with the minor to make sure that child got taken care of. So each case sometimes is different. So whether you're dealing with USAA, AAA, or your American Express card, or any of your other travel insurances, every case may vary, just of the incidents in what country you're at or what town. Thanks for sharing with that, Angela. Anybody else want to share something or have a question? I see we've got folks from Kittery, Maine. Oh my goodness, Decatur, Georgia. I'm so glad you guys came in, and hopefully everybody's been able to travel. That's one of the other big things, travel has gone up. They're looking at millions this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. This is the opening of the summer. And so one of the other things that you'll find is that travel has just really, I think this year, 20% more than last year. They've hired more people out there, but of course that doesn't always mean everything will go flawlessly. When you find that many of the companies that you're dealing with, they will assist you as much as they can, but they can't always control, those airports, the changing of gates, and availability of crews at one place to the other. Is TSA, oh my goodness, some of the TSA lines that are going to go through there. Are they going to be there and do that quickly? Are there going to be enough staff? I think that was the biggest thing. We just came back from Europe, and oh my, yeah, it was a nightmare almost coming through some of the airports. Oh, but I have to tell you, if you are traveling out of country and you're coming back to the United States, it is worth the money to either pay the $14.95, I think it is annually, for the mobile passport. It's a little icon, MPC, and you'll see that little logo when you're going through customs, or global entry. So I think if global entry is also something you can purchase with your American Express, and I think even they give you a discount. Some people's jobs will actually pay if you purchase that global entry. So always check with your job if you have a job where you're traveling and stuff. But those make it so much easier to come back to the United States. You don't have to stand in that big, long customs line. Oh my gosh. There's hundreds of people usually at customs, whether you're in Atlanta, in Philly, in Washington, or Chicago. The lines to get back into the United States are so long. And if you've got global entry, or MPC, mobile passport, Those are the easiest ways to get in. It's a little app that you have on your phone. And once you have that little app on your phone, the minute you land, you go to the app, you pull up, you've already taken a picture of your passport. You say, yep, yes, no, no, I've not brought money in, I don't have any dairy products. You answer all those questions. And you tell them what your port of entry is. So whether it's a flight or a cruise, and you then can tell, on there, put that into the app and then hit submit. And it's good for 3 hours. So hopefully in 3 hours, you'll get through customs. But for those 3 hours, you go through the customs area, you show that little app, they look at your passport and they say, they'll take your picture and say, have a wonderful entry back into the United States. And that's it. I loved it. And so mobile passport has changed names, and I think now it's MPC or Airside is a company that purchased it. But that one is like $14.95 for the year. Global entry is a little bit more, but if you're also inside of the United States, within the USA, to get through the security lines a little bit quicker, TSA pre. So that one, you purchase that as well, but those will get you through the lines a little bit quicker. But TSA only works in the United States for domestic flights. It does not work overseas. So just one of the things to think about. So in the chat, can you type and let me know yes or no that you have travel insurance, or have you ever purchased travel insurance? Just type in the chat yes or no. Okay. All right. We've got a couple of folks that have it. So now you want to share with me, what was your number one reason why you thought you wanted to purchase travel insurance? What was your number one reason? You can type it in there, or you can come on live and tell it to me. Unmute yourself.
Might need to cancel the flight.
Okay, canceling the flight.
In case my trip was delayed or canceled.
Okay, flight delay or trip delay. Another good reason.
Reparations, get myself back to the States.
See, because that's a scary feeling, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Yep. Getting back to the United States. When you are traveling a far ways, I guess that's, you kind of feel a little bit better when you have that. Oh, all right. Somebody says it was required by the tour operator. That's very true. Sometimes that travel insurance, some folks do not want you to come along unless you do have that travel insurance, because many times the tour operator is kind of, needing some assistance. They don't want to be covered by having to deal with you or a travel agent. So, for example, I take folks to Europe. So I suggest for all of the folks that come with me, I'm not a big company or anything. So I always tell folks, we'll do the best we can to take care of you. But if you don't have travel insurance, I can't pay for you to get back to America or to get back home. And so in order for you to be covered, even when you have a personal or a big company, either way, whoever you're on a tour with, it's always good to have that travel insurance. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'm going to show you one last video. This one's about 10 minutes long. And then we'll close it out and we'll see if we have any other questions. All right. here are some of the reasons, the don'ts of.
Walter's World today, we're on South Beach in Miami Beach, and I had a little incident, and I'm actually wearing a boot on my right foot walking down Ocean Drive, and it got me really thinking about travel insurance and what you need to know about travel insurance. And so what we have today are the don'ts of travel insurance. And I think the first don't we need to go through is realize that don't think all travel insurance is the same, okay? Because you can have medical travel insurance that will cover things like a broken foot, or your wife getting hit in the eyeball with a piece of bamboo so she has to wear a patch over her eye for a few weeks, or when your kid gets his hand smashed in a door in China and you end up in 3 different hospitals. Yes, there's the medical travel insurance, but then there's what we call trip insurance. So with your trip insurance, you're covering things like, oh, I need to get money back for a canceled hotel, or I need to cancel my trip and how do I get my money back, or something happened last minute, I don't want to lose out on my money, or my baggage gets lost, or my stuff gets stolen. This is what trip insurance more covers. And the thing is, you can look on your homeowner's insurance policy or your renter's insurance policy, and some things might be covered with that. So again, we're going back to look at what is our coverage that we already have. So that would kind of lead into, don't forget to talk to your insurance agent before you travel to see what's available, to see what you're already covered for, all right? So that can make it a lot easier and a lot cheaper if you already know things are covered or not, and just having that peace of mind of having the good news and the bad news about your insurance before you go. Also, your insurance agent might be able to sell you some travel insurance or some medical travel insurance or trip insurance. They might be able to do that for you. The thing is, there's tons of opportunities online for travel insurance you can buy. I mean, heck, after you buy your plane ticket, a lot of airlines will offer you the opportunity to buy the travel insurance right then. So just something to think about. Now, my next don't for you when it comes to this travel medical insurance is, don't think that travel medical insurance works just like your health insurance back home. Because, you know, if your health insurance back home pays for your medicines or your prescriptions, or it gives you money for over-the-counter drugs, your travel medical insurance might not cover that. So if you're gonna be traveling, I do recommend you bring your prescription with you. Maybe ask your doctor, hey, could I get more so I have my prescription in case I have to stay an extra week or 2 when I'm abroad, just to be safe. But don't expect that travel medical insurance to get you your medication when you're abroad, all right? So that's gonna be out of pocket. Now, I know a lot of people just buy stuff with their credit card and they think, hey, my credit card has travel insurance, I'll just use that. Well, my don't for that is, don't think your credit card travel insurance will cover everything. It will cover what you bought with the credit card. So I use my Amex, and so I use my Amex, you know, for all my purchases, but then one place says, no, we only take the Visa card, so I have to pay with Visa. That stuff I bought with that Visa is not gonna be covered for my American Express travel insurance. But the thing is, for a lot of people, that credit card, trip insurance, travel insurance kind of stuff is sufficient for what you're gonna do, because it might just cover luggage and delayed flights, so you don't have to pay for that one night you missed in Aruba, okay? So that's something to think about. Now, another don't that really surprises a lot of people is when they buy trip insurance, they don't realize this, not everything is covered by your trip insurance, especially if you're looking at electronics. So the camera I'm using right now, my phone, my laptop kind of stuff, it might not be covered. You might need to get a separate policy just for that phone, or just for your fancy camera you're using, okay? And that can be a little frustrating, like, wait, I got trip insurance, that wasn't covered? No, they cover your clothes and your luggage and your hotel, but not the electronics, okay? So if you do have cameras, like if you're going for work and you're a photographer, you got nice cameras, you might want to look into an additional policy that just focuses on your camera. And that's why it's important to look at your homeowner's insurance policy or your renter's insurance policy, because those might cover you while you're abroad for your electronics. So something to look at. I know mine, it's covered, so I'm not too worried about it. But the thing is, if my camera gets stolen, or if I lose something, or if I have issues, one thing you gotta remember is, don't think you can just file a claim without a police report. Look, if your wallet gets stolen, or your camera gets stolen, or your bag gets stolen, or it gets lost, you're gonna need to have official verification that something happened. For example, Jocelyn was in Italy and she was shopping and someone picked her pocket and stole her stuff. Okay, it happens, it's just the way it is, but for us to get the insurance back, we had to file a police report. And the thing is, as a tourist, what you have to realize, if you're in a tourist area, the cops know that tourists get robbed. I mean, that's just the way it is, and they have all the forms, but you've got to go there and report it and fill out all those forms, so expect to lose half a day or a full day of your vacation dealing with all the forms and stuff like that. So do have a heads up, and don't come back home and then try to file the report later, because that gets really, really troublesome, okay? So make sure you get the official documentation. Now, another thing I think is important for people to realize is don't think travel insurance is insane expensive. In general, if you're going to be budgeting out your trip, think between 3 and 8% of your total trip cost will be what your insurance should be. So then for you're kind of covered. So it's not actually that expensive to get. And some people feel that it's not worth getting. That's up to you. But just know it's not going to bust your budget getting insurance to cover yourself in case anything goes wrong on your trip. Because if you have a medical emergency, I mean, those things can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're here in the US, and maybe that, you know, $200 policy is worth it if you're coming here to South Beach and you're going to break your foot. So don't forget that. Now, my next don't for you is don't think you can cancel your trip for just any old reason. I mean, there is trip cancellation, you know, insurance, and the thing is there's different types. There's trip cancellation because of a job loss or you know, something's happening in that country, they might let you do that. But then there's like no excuse trip cancellation insurance, which costs more, but it can literally be, I don't feel like going to Spain today, and they'll give you your money back. But I have to tell you, don't expect to get all of your money back. When you have trip insurance, I usually say expect to get between 70 and 85% of your money back. Sometimes you get it all. I mean, with COVID and stuff, we ended up getting all of our money back, but realize that sometimes there's stipulations of what you can get back and what you can't get back, and the situations that happen. And that's why I think it's important to don't forget to read the fine print, okay? Because travel insurance, I mean, it's insurance, it's these long things that you read through, and you got to make sure everything's okay and everything, you know, cross the T's and dot the I's and everything's there. And they have stipulations. Hey, this is why we will pay you back. This is why we won't pay you back. So it might say you have to have a job termination letter to get your money back for canceling a trip because you lost your job. Or they might need a medical professional to say, look, they had a heart attack and they cannot go right now. They need to stay home. These things might happen, but also the fine print might say when it won't be covered. So if you do things they deem is not safe, like if you're gonna go bungee jumping or skydiving or dangerous activities, they may say, hey, that negates your policy, okay? So you really need to like look at that fine print, because sometimes it might be, hey, we will give your money back for named hurricanes, not tropical storms, okay? So something to kind of consider. Now, another thing that people might get is what's called emergency evacuation insurance. So basically, you're in a country and there's an insurrection, or you're in a place and a hurricane is coming, or you break your legs really bad, you need to be evacuated back to a country that has better medical care. These things do happen. And the thing is don't think emergency evacuation isn't worth it, especially if you're going to different parts of the world, because you might need to get out as soon as you can. And the thing is, getting out of a country right away, ask anybody that was trying to get back to the US or back to Europe last minute in 2020, they're like, oh, those last minute tickets, they're insane expensive. Well, emergency evacuation can cost you $100,000. Having that insurance just in case might be worth it. But I gotta tell you, with that emergency evacuation insurance, don't think it covers your medical care. You'll need travel medical insurance and the emergency, evacuation insurance. So something to think about. I mean, sometimes it's together, but again, read that fine print. Now, another thing I think is kind of important, especially these days, is don't think you can go everywhere without travel insurance or some kind of insurance. Some countries are actually requiring travelers to have proof of insurance while they're in their country, okay? So that could be something you need to think about in getting, so you can actually get in the country, right? Or stay in the country. And sometimes it's not about health insurance, sometimes it's car insurance. And my next don't for you is, don't think that your car insurance policy back home will work abroad. You need to see, am I covered abroad? Am I covered for rental cars? Am I covered for rental cars when I'm abroad? You need to look at these things because sometimes you're not. So you need to buy the car insurance when you get to that country or when you rent the car, okay? That's why some countries you'll drive through and at the border, they'll have little huts there that are selling car insurance that you can buy for a week or 10 days or however long you're there. Now, my next kind of bad news don't I have for you is don't think that your travel insurance company will straight pay the bills. A lot of times you will need to pay the bills and then they will pay you back later, which can be quite expensive if you're having a broken foot in Florida. If you're not from the US and you got to pay out of pocket, that can be troublesome, like really troublesome. But your insurance will pay you back later, okay? So something to think about. Now, some insurance carriers actually will pay when you're abroad, but again, you got to read the fine print and see what's going on. That's why if you have an incident, you have something happen, call them. They have an email, they have a phone number. Get in contact with them so you can find out how you can pay. Because I know when Liam got his hand smashed in China, I mean, it was bad. We ended up in the hospital. I had to pay $300 to join the hospital when I was there. I had the receipts, I had the stuff, so I had to pay it right then to get him in the hospital. But later on, my insurance company sent me a check for $300 to cover the, you know, initiation fee for that hospital. And my last don't for you is don't wait to buy travel insurance. Look, sometimes there's a limit of when you can buy travel insurance. Like you have to buy within 24 hours of booking your flights or booking your trips. That's why you'll see on airlines, they'll sell you, you know, your plane tickets, and there'll be an option. Would you like to, you know, insure your trip for $50 or $20 or $100 or whatever? You need to do that as soon as possible, especially if you have pre-existing conditions. You don't want to find out later, oh no, you can't get insurance for this. You needed to buy it right away. So don't wait to get it. Get it as soon as you decide to make your trip so you have it. Because one, I think it'll be cheaper, but also then you have less chance of them saying, no, too late. It's only now that you know more about where you're going that you want to have insurance. Too bad. And so that's why sometimes I think that you could also look at is when you're looking at travel insurance, you can look at it in terms of getting travel insurance trip by trip. Or if you travel a lot, you can get an annual travel insurance policy. So that's also something to consider for those of you that travel quite often. Anyway, I know I gave you a lot of information about travel insurance, but this is stuff that you really should know before you go travel so you can be prepared, because you don't want to end up with a broken foot and no insurance in a place that has really expensive medical care. Take my word for it, all right? So,
All right. So, wow, he gave us a lot of things, many of the things that we talked about. And that was one of the big things also. Yeah, I realized also travel insurance, when you're working with that package deal, there's usually a time limit. So for example, on many of the travel packages that I purchased, Allianz says you've got 10 to 12 days after you make the very first payment for a trip for you to have that travel insurance purchased. Don't have that trip paid for 2 months ago, and all of a sudden you're getting ready to do the last payment, and that little button at the bottom is gone now where it says, oh, did you want to get travel insurance? So keep that in mind too. Travel insurance, the minute you choose your trip, usually I tell folks within 7 days of booking a tour or a trip or buying a plane ticket or planning that trip, get your travel insurance ordered at that time, you know, pretty close. It's not a last minute thing, because some of the companies will ask and check and see, when did you purchase that ticket? All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Comments, suggestions? All right. Well, we're almost to the end of our time. I want to thank everybody for coming in, joining us, and listening and just discussing some of the travel insurance portions of our day of traveling, and just to make sure, you know, we do it for safety, security, just that extra kind of well-being when you're out traveling, out and about. So I want to thank you for joining me. This has been one of the new things that I've been doing, my Travel Talk Tuesdays. So if you have any suggestions for any other topics that you want covered, we'll start doing some, we'll have some visitors in as well, and we'll start doing some different things. And just as, you know, I'm a military spouse. We've lived overseas for many, many years. I'm from Germany, so things for me, I always look things like the Europeans look at, and then I have to reevaluate and say, oh, I'm in America now. I got to look and see how we're doing things in America. But no matter where you're going, travel is one of the delights for your cultural and your culinary experiences, whether it's a break in life or whether it's something that you want to continue going forward to for your retirement. Travel is one of those things I think that we're all going to have fun at and doing. So thanks for coming to join us. And next month, we will have a visitor from one of our travel companies up in New York. and we're going to have someone tell us about traveling in Africa. So you'll see that in our newsletter, and we'll send that out to you. And again, thanks for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can call me, Juanita, at EurWay Tours. I'm at 850-624-4042. Y'all have a wonderful week, and thanks for joining me with EurWay Tours.
Thank you, Juanita.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Juanita. Okay.